Harness-racing horses are so big. He checks them to see if they have any pains.
I'm Dr. Ernie Beyer. I'm here today to give a routine veterinary exam on this horse named Pleasure Me. So the first thing we look at is, how does the horse look generally? Now we look at the ears, we check the eyes, that the mucous membranes around the eye, the conjunctiva is nice and pink. The second spot we look is at the nose and make sure that there's no obstruction, no cut. We're now going to look in the mouth, and we can see a nice pink gums. We check the teeth out, make sure they're aligned properly. Put your tongue back in. That's it. I know, that's what you think of me. Okay, go ahead. But they're nice and even and straight across. This is where all the grinding takes place for the grain. And the next step would be to check the neck out. And what we're looking for is lumps, bumps, make sure the muscles are in good shape. We're going to check the arteries and veins in the neck, the windpipe or the trachea, which is right here. And so basically most of this is done by feel. The area I'm feeling right here is where I have the jugular vein, carotid artery. In between on either side is where the esophagus and the trachea or the windpipe is located. And they're all in good shape. The other thing that we look at, we have a tattoo, which is freeze branded into the animals so they know exactly which animal is which, and they carry this number throughout their life, of course. This is our shoulder blade, which is analogous to the one on our back. Pectoral muscles, your biceps. We wind up, this joint right here is called the knee in the horse, and there are 3 parts to it. Upper limb bone or brachium is right here. Then we have our biceps, triceps. Then we go down the leg. This is our antebrachium, which is basically this bone right here in a human. The knee is analogous to our wrist. So it has a number of bones in it and basically 3 sets of bones. And we have joint spaces, the upper and then the lower joint space. The bones are here, here, and here. The bone down here is called the cannon bone, is analogous to these bones right here in humans. And we get to the fetlock, which is this area right here, and the fetlock is equivalent to our knuckles. And then below that we have the pastern bones, first, second, the third, and these bones are analogous to our finger. So we have 3 bones in our finger. These are the 3 bones, pastern 1, pastern 2, and the coffin bone, which is analogous to P3. Behind the fetlock, there's another set of bones called the sesamoid bones. You have a coronet area. This is where the hoof actually grows from, and it grows from here out. And the hoof is analogous to our fingernails. Behind it, inside, is another sesamoid bone called the navicular bone. So all these are inside this. There's a lot of stuff in this structure right here. On the back of the leg, starting from, again, the knee, we have our suspensory ligament, our deep digital flexor ligament. So the deep digital flexor will come down, actually go around and go to the hoof down here. You also have arteries and veins running through this area, and you can actually take a pulse of the horse from the fetlock area. Back here, these are called the bulbs. That's the back part of the hoof. It's where the basically where the leg meets the hoof. This area right here is called the withers. Then your spine right down the center of the back, and then you have your what they call loin muscles or epaxial muscles on either side, your ribs in this area, and then you have a space between the ribs, which is the last rib is right here, the beginning of the hip. We have our thoracic spine, and then we have our lumbar spine.
When I see horses racing, they seem to be breathing very heavily. Their stomach moves a lot, but where are their lungs?
Actually, the lungs are, here's your ribs, the lungs are actually in this area here. Basically, that area is the lungs. The diaphragm is right below the lungs, and when the horse breathes in, that diaphragm moves backward, and that's why you see the abdomen swelling. And then as they exhale, then the abdomen goes back in. From the lumbar area, we go into the pelvis or the hip bone, and you have your iliac crest right here. This is the same as our hip bones, and that's where your femur is, right in this area. That's where your greater and lesser trochanter are located. The bone comes down like this. This is analogous to our knee. This is called the stifle in the horse.
Can you explain the difference between the stifle and the patella?
Okay, the stifle is actually the entire joint here, which is analogous to our knee, and the patella is the same thing as our kneecap. This area down here is called the hock. Here's our hock, this whole joint right here. There, you have several bursa or fluid-filled areas for lubrication. Basically, the hock is analogous to our ankle, so it has several series of bones in it. The horse has a locking mechanism with the ligaments and the bones in the hock. And basically, when a horse cocks its leg, like on the left side here, the locking mechanism is working on the right side. And basically what it does is it locks the joint so that it can't flex while it's resting. Therefore, a horse can sleep standing up because of that mechanism. So this area here is called the rump, gaskin, and thigh. You have our gluteus, quadriceps, and tricep muscles. So all your power for the horse moving actually comes from up in this area. And then basically these are considered the thigh and muscles and on down. Suspensory ligament is right here, and it'll branch right about here and head this direction. The deep digital flexor tendon is located right here, and it allows the hoof to flex like this. So when that contracts, then the hoof will flex. Extensor ligament and tendon, which goes this way. Here's a horseshoe, which is for protecting the hoof wall. This particular one is glued on, so that's what the yellow is, or mustard color. Come on, thank you, thank you. The hoof wall is underneath the horseshoe. This area here is the sole of the foot, and then this area is called the frog. The frog is actually is a soft structure which actually allows the horse to pump the blood from its feet back up the leg. The tail is an important structure on the horse, of course. The tail head is right here. The tail itself is actually a continuation of the caudal spine. It runs down to about, well, exactly right there. So you have vertebra running all the way down. This is what a normal feces should look like. It's fairly large, it's moist. You can see that there's some moisture in it. You can see that there's not a lot of grain in it, which means that the horse has actually been able to chew the grain up. The heart in the horse lies right in this area right here and in the center of the chest. So it's about this big. If you think about it, it's right about in this area here.